for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog.
Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks.
Woo! And it's time for some more Doctor Who. As you know, a couple weeks ago I wrapped up what is generally considered as the classic run of the Doctor Who franchise. And so now I'm bound towards not yet the modern era, but the weird stuff, which includes Peter Cushing's Scream of Shalka, and today's review, the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann. Doctor Who was cancelled in 1989 with numerous reasons cited for its demise. It was a pretty long-running show, but it seemed like it had quite firmly reached the end of its relevance, especially when it was attempted to be rebooted in 1996. Doctor Who, the movie, was made with Paul McGann taking on the role of the Doctor. And it was intended as a sort of a pilot to relaunch the show, but it didn't get the ratings that it needed to effectively resurrect the dead franchise. And I can really see why. The movie opens well enough with Sylvester McCoy in the TARDIS on his way to Gallifrey with the ashes of his old arch-nemesis, the Master, whose last wishes were to have his ashes returned to the planet of his origins. Unbeknownst to the Doctor, however, the Master has found a way to survive his demise and is planning on transferring his consciousness into a new host. The Doctor ends up dying on Earth and winds up in a hospital, waking up with amnesia after his regeneration. Honestly, almost everything about this movie is objectively awful. But let's break down exactly how it's awful, and starting with the writing. This is one of the most convoluted, nonsensical plot lines I have ever seen. The Master needs to use an ancient contraption on board the TARDIS to transfer his life force from his current stolen body into the body of the Doctor, which is also going to destroy Earth by using it for reasons? Why the hell is this thing even on the TARDIS, and why can it only be operated by a human? Absolutely nothing about the plot makes any sense, and it's really not supposed to? Apparently the writers didn't think that American audiences would care all that much whether or not the plot makes sense so long as it's exciting, so they just didn't bother trying? And don't even get me started on that stupid big reveal about the Doctor being half human on his mother's side. Yeah, I think I'm just going to ignore that little tidbit of canon.
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
But I might have even been able to forgive the nonsensical plot line if the acting wasn't such an appalling mess. My first indicator that the acting was going to be a little on the lackluster side was when the Master steals his first temporary host body. His host's wife wakes up, asks him why he's out of bed, and this guy feels totally weird and awkward in his new human skin, and goes full something is clearly wrong, a la the alien dude from Men in Black.
Come back to bed, honey.
My name is not Honey.
Give me sugar.
First of all, this is just so ridiculously out of character. Like, the Master is supposed to be a genius and a masterful tactician, and he has been around humans before. There is no excuse for this weird-ass performance. He would know how humans behave and how not to freak out his host's wife. But the real kicker is that this woman doesn't even bat an eye at his behavior.
Oh, well, what would you like me to call you then?
Master will do.
Well, come back to bed, Master.
Lady, that is not a normal reaction. In fact, the whole movie is full of odd moments like that, with the weirdest reactions or non-reactions to things. Apparently, in order to appeal to American audiences, they wanted to make the companion woman a romantic interest this time around. But the romance is just so sloppily constructed, I can't even The doctor is raving like an absolute lunatic to this woman. He's a complete stranger and she is convinced that he is off his rocker. And mid weird-ass ranting about having known all these historical figures, he grabs her and kisses her, and I kid you not, she is totally into it. The whole movie is like this. It's like it was written and performed by aliens who, like the Master, are wearing human skins but have no idea how humans behave and interact. Like they read about humans in a textbook and are trying their hardest to recreate what they think humans are like. Now, the one thing I would give this movie credit for is the way cooler environments and effects. The interior of the TARDIS suddenly looks like an old medieval castle, which doesn't really make sense, but is sure visually interesting. The entire thing is visually interesting, and to be honest, I actually really like the look and style of this Doctor. All in all, though, it's a terrible attempt at recapturing the magic of the series. And honestly, not surprising that it was unsuccessful. But it was certainly fun in a so bad it's good kind of way. And if you're going to be bad, at least be entertainingly bad. And that's it for my review of Doctor Who, the movie. Next, I'll be getting into the Peter Cushing films, but first, as you know, next month is my horror month. And since earlier this year I fell headlong in love with the Hannibal TV series, I figured it was high time that I watched the Silence of the Lambs movies. So come back for that. You can also add me on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you next week.